Story 1. My wife talks me up in front of other people. I'd never had that before and had a toxic family, so I was used to hearing people speak negatively, if at all. We've been married for 9 years, and I still get a lump in my throat when I hear her compliment me or hear it secondhand that she spoke well of me to someone, especially if I wasn't there. Her mom told me that my wife said she should ask me for advice on an upcoming trip and that I'm her favorite person to travel with because I put so much effort into researching places that it's like having a personal tour guide wherever we go. Not gonna lie, I got choked up. Even the time I accidentally overheard her tell her friend that I have great handwriting. High on that for a full day. Story 2. My girlfriend told me once, I can't solve every problem, but I know I can always be here for you when you need help. It really made me feel supported and loved. Story 3. My wife occasionally wakes me up in bed with a cup of coffee made how I like it. Every time she does that, I'm like, damn, she loves me. Also, when she asks me questions about things I'm passionate about, even if it's a dumb video game. Story 4. There are lots of them, but today my dearly beloved came up behind me as I was sitting at the kitchen table and just kind of bent down and hugged me from behind and just stayed that way for a bit. Story 5. My fiancé has gotten me flowers multiple times, and it made me want to cry. It's funny because, hypothetically, if you asked me if I wanted flowers, I would say, whatever. But when she actually got them and made it clear they were for me, not us, I had a strong emotional reaction. Story 6. After a long day of parenting our little one, she looks me in the eye and thanks me for being part of her life. No matter how many times I hear it, my heart melts and I just want to cry and hold her forever. She has given me the purpose to be better tomorrow than I was today. Story 7. I once went on a first date with a girl pretty fresh out of a long-term relationship a couple of years back. She got me flowers, which was the first time anyone had done that. She was talking about how most men receive flowers for the first time when it's their funeral. It didn't work out, but that gesture stuck with me for sure. Story 8. I like little messages throughout the day. That's sweet. Or just asking how I'm doing for whatever reason. That's sweet too. Also, I'm disabled, so really any woman I ever see brings in more cash. And sometimes they buy me small things like a pizza or some comics or something. That's nice. Story 9. There are so many things about my fiancée I absolutely adore, but if I had to narrow it down a bit, I'd say when she brings me home something small that made her think of me, or when she takes some of her personal time to pack my lunch for work with a note. Just trying to think of my favorite things about her makes me all the more grateful for her. Story 10. One time when I was feeling down and just sitting on the couch staring at the television screen, my girlfriend came home and saw I was just kind of zoning out. She asked what was wrong, and I said it was just a kind of bad day. So she just sat with me and put her head on my shoulder and said, "Is this better?" And it was. Story 11. After a night of partying and me oversharing with my wife of 10 years, she sent me this text. Hey, I love you. I know you were sorry for talking about the girls you missed being with because you weren't picking up on their flirting. I'm not upset. I know you had a life before me. I know that I also have the best version of you. I have the version that is mature enough to be able to love me for me and to be loved by who you are. I get you as my best friend. I would have hated the younger version of you that was an immature kid. I love the you I have. The loyal, supportive, hardworking, and loving man I get. I get to say that I am the only girl that gets that part of you. I literally had to go to the truck on a job site because I got overwhelmed with emotion. She is amazing, and I love her for being that person. Story 12. I have been married 22 years. I am very appreciative every time my wife wants to have sex with me. I do not take it for granted. I get it regularly and am thankful every time. Story 13. When they say what they mean directly and do not expect men to be mind readers or pick up on their subtle hints. When they both verbalize and demonstrate appreciation for the things we do to make their lives better, and then reciprocate with an equal gesture. Story 14. At least for me, showing appreciation not by saying thank you, but by acting like they really appreciate what you do, like hugging, kissing, and putting her head on my shoulder. Story 15. Right now I'm sitting on the couch. My wife is sleeping with her head on my chest. We do this often enough. In fact, for a while, it was every morning before work. I legitimately like it better than sex. Don't get me wrong, I'll take the sex, but this is just the best feeling in the world. Story 16. Reading this as a woman is so sweet. Men, when in love, can be the most amazing thing on this planet. On the flip side, a heartbroken man is the most dangerous creature on the planet. Story 17. I had to wear a suit to work the other day. The men were complimentary, saying I looked dapper and smart. The ladies were also complimentary, saying, "Oh, check you out," and "I didn't know you scrub up so well." It was a good day. Well, until my boss said, "Have you been to court for crimes against fashion?" Story 18. Never had this done to me, but I know every man in the world would love to have this done to them. Being told that, "I'm so glad you're in my life. It's a good thing we existed at the same time." Story 19. When they verbally show appreciation for what I do and praise my prowess at something, and verbally express admiration and validation of the efforts I put into the relationship. Story 20. We came up north to help her great-grandparents with chores and such. Still here while I'm writing this. She has just been showing more affection as a whole. Her wanting to stay close and cuddly all the time makes my heart melt. Also, she's been more sentimental towards me, but I believe that comes from this being the last year for her granddad. Story 21. Show interest in me, not just attraction, but showing that they actually care. I like it when they talk to me first and ask about me or my day. It makes me feel appreciated. Story 22. Everything my wife does, just loving me. I appreciate she's amazing. She's everything I ever needed and wanted. I love waking up to her and going to sleep with her every single day, showing her how much I love her and how much love she deserves. She's my soulmate, my best friend, my everything, the best cook I've ever had, the best lover I've ever had. I appreciate all she does for me, and I plan to return it all to her. She deserves it. She truly is my ride or die. She always has had my back and always will. I believe her. Story 23. Playing with my hair and touching me randomly gets me every time. Being tactile is so important. Also, dressing up for you-know-what as a surprise when I get home from work, the confidence to do that and being desired at that level is top-tier living. Story 24. When they look at you with that look of admiration and play with their hair. When they spray themselves with nice fragrances and walk past you frequently. When a woman is comfortable in her clothing and body, and she rocks any look while looking her best. Story 25. There is this older lady in my work who is in a different department. I was there the other day picking something up, and I joked that I would be out of their way shortly. She stopped and said, "You are not in the way. You are just as important as everyone else." Lovely. Just a small comment really had a big impact on me. Thanks, Sue. Story 26. As a quiet-spoken man, early in my career I often struggled to get my voice out during meetings, especially on Zoom where lag becomes an issue. People would interrupt me mid-sentence, keep talking over me, ignore my comments so they could make their point, or completely change the subject without acknowledging the things I've said. I found many women are very perceptive when that's happening. They always make a point to revisit what I was saying or to make space for me to speak. It's a kindness that makes me feel seen and heard. Story 27. Initiate romance, make a man feel wanted. Women seem to have this idea generally that we men are supposed to initiate everything, and it doesn't help us feel like we are wanted physically or sexually. Story 28. As a gay and feminine man, women have been my best friends and my main source of support throughout my whole life. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my girlfriends and the artists I admire and love so much. Story 29. My ex used to ask me about random things I told her. For example, if she called while I was going on a hike, a few hours or days later she would ask me details about it. I don't know, it made me feel important. Story 30. Reading through these comments, it's clear that the little things matter the most. Hugs, random kisses, compliments, something they said. And I share the same feelings. I can only say for myself that I long for such gestures from a loved one, and therefore it gives me immense pleasure with the slightest affection. But I can't stop wondering if that's how humans are or if society conditions men to have low expectations. Story 31. dropping mild sexual innuendos. Nothing overly suggestive, but just enough to show that she is a cool person who doesn't take herself too seriously. Story 32. When you are as comfortable together as an old pair of slippers. After 42 years of marriage, we still hold hands like we used to when we first dated. She accepts my faults and I accept hers. It helps that she is a better person than I am. Story 33. Initiating intimacy. Every relationship I've been in, I've always been the one to try to get things going. I've always wondered if it was the man's job to always start things off. Story 34. When they do just a tiny bit of makeup, emphasis on a tiny bit, like 5 minutes of effort at most. My girlfriend is so naturally beautiful, but when she just puts on a tiny bit of blush and mascara, it just feels special and she looks so amazing. Story 35. Catching her looking at me longingly as I do things randomly around the yard, house, or otherwise. Feels good to feel noticed and appreciated, even in just that moment. Story 36. The girl I'm seeing snuggles up to me a lot. Also, she plays with my hair while we cuddle and always runs her hands up and down my back. She's really good at it, too. Seriously makes me feel relaxed. I've never felt anything like it. Story 37. Running up and hugging me. Spontaneous intimacy and taking the lead. Telling me how to get her to climax. Sharing her sexual fantasies with me. Undressing me before getting into bed. Wanting to try new things in bed. Talking dirty to me. Story 38. Understanding I'm not hitting on you. I just find you interesting and want to invite you out for a walk and some coffee. Rare, but I get the trust issues. Story 39. I don't need anything from a woman except unprovoked touch. I cook and clean my own things. I don't need a woman to do chores for me. I work hard. All I need is for a girl to grab me and kiss me without me having to initiate it myself. Story 40. Little token gestures. Like a very quick call at work when she thinks you might be having a bad day. Coming to us once in a while with a soda and, God forbid, a sandwich when we're doing yard work or the taxes. No, we won't think you're our kitchen or snack slave for doing it. Or sending something to us at home or at work on Valentine's Day. The world seems full of women who seem to think we constantly need to remind them they're wanted and cherished and desirable, and who are fine with the idea that if they reciprocate about 10% of the effort we bestow onto them, then that's somehow a fair trade. Story 41. My fiancée stops whatever she's doing and runs over to the door to give me a hug, kiss, and say goodbye whenever I leave for work. She also buys a snack or drink I really like when she does groceries and just puts it on my desk so I see it the next time I sit down. Story 42. Many women endure days of painful monthly cramping, bleeding, diarrhea, stress, and cultural or psychological challenges from puberty into their 50s and sometimes later, just for the possibility that they could choose to give their body over for 40 weeks and their lives over for 20 or more years to perpetuate our species. Even if they choose not to have children, I will never truly know what it is like to be one of them, and I carry a tremendous amount of appreciation and respect for these people. Story 43. I appreciate her attention to detail in cleaning the house. When I have a little fun, I sometimes throw things around the house, like panties, socks, and jeans. Any other woman would have reprimanded me long ago for this, but my beloved did not say a word to me, although I understand that I am wrong. Spoiler, I don't do this anymore. Story 44. Listening to me banter on about random subjects even though she knows nothing of the Ming Dynasty, it made me happy knowing she'd at least pretend to listen to my interest in history. Story 45. When they come back from the store or from going somewhere and bring you your favorite snack or something small that you never told her you like, but she already knew because she pays attention. Story 46. Staying loyal to me and loving me, even though the first few years of our relationship were really hard because I needed to grow as a person and we kind of rushed into it. There were many times it would have been so easy to leave me for someone who would do more than the bare minimum. I have grown so much as a person since getting with her in 2019. I am so proud to call her my wife, and I love her so much and worry about her every day because I do not want to live in a world where she is not by my side. Story 47. I get stir crazy, so she'll have a problem that needs solving or needs something done around the house or an errand that sometimes has an easy or obvious solution, and let me work on it or go do whatever needs to be done. Story 48. I was dealing with some heavy family stuff. I was in tears sitting on the couch. She sat down next to me, put her arm around me and just held me, and said, "We will get through this together." I knew that already, but hearing her say it made me just melt into her and start crying more. Story 49. Being quiet. I don't mean that in a misogynistic way, like women won't ever shut up. I mean that when she can just sit with me in a companionable silence and not feel the need to talk just to fill the space between us. That is such a beautiful thing and means the world. Story 50. Everyone is talking about what they appreciate about their significant other. I'll go in a different direction. I appreciate working with women. I'm painting with broad strokes here, but on average, women tend to be more thoughtful and intentional with their work, while men can often be thoughtless and haphazard. That's just my experience, though. Story 51. Compliment me. Whether it's how much weight I've lost, certain types of clothing that fit my style, or even my smile, things like that go a long way. Have a good day, you all.